therefore say today we are gathered here for the public participation, I think the final stages of public participation on the draft election campaign financing regulations 2026. I say regulations because the Election Campaign Finance Act is already in place. And what we are required, as directed by the courts, is to ensure that the campaign financing regulations are in place, are approved, gazetted, and therefore implemented accordingly. So we are looking at the campaign finance regulations and also the proposed contribution and spending limits, which the law directs the Commission to set. The manner in which contributions are made, but also the spending limit for the money that is raised for political campaigns. So at the outset, I would like to express the Commission's appreciation to all the members of the public, both present here and those that participated in the various regions where we held the public forums. And we thank you, of course, for honoring our invitation and making time to participate in this engagement. Indeed, your presence is a clear demonstration of the importance attached to the electoral reforms that we are spearheading as a commission towards the strengthening of Kenya's democratic processes. In the same breath, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot therefore fail to express our profound gratitude to those institutions that have been supportive to us in the course of undertaking this assignment. And that includes special mention to Transparency International Kenya chapter and LGR, who have been partnering with us to ensure this invaluable support in undertaking this very important and yet costly process. Your steady, fast partnership and commitment to promoting transparency, accountability, and integrity in the electoral processes in Kenya are deeply appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, as has been highlighted before, Article 88.4.1 of the Constitution bestows on the Commission the mandate to regulate the amount of money that may be spent by or on behalf of a candidate or a political party in respect of any elections in Kenya. This is a mandate that the Commission has taken seriously since the enactment of the Election Campaign Financing Act in 2013. The journey towards the full implementation of the Election Campaign Finance Act has been progressive and marked by important milestones. The Commission has, over the years, undertaken extensive efforts to develop the necessary regulatory framework, including conducting stakeholder consultations in preparation for both the 2017 and 2022 general elections. So this is not the first, and it shall not be the last attempt by the Commission to ensure the full implementation of the Campaign Finance Act 2013. While these efforts encountered legal and procedural hurdles, they provided us with valuable lessons that have informed the current reform processes. Today's engagement, therefore, is a critical step towards ensuring that we can finally, I hope, and we hope as a Commission, realize the constitutional promise of election campaign financing regulations for the 2027 general elections. As I've said, let me emphasize, our attempts to ensure the implementation of the Campaign Finance Act has faced those legal challenges, and we hope this time, through this process, we shall overcome those challenges and we shall implement these regulations in the coming elections of 2027. We hope that this will also be an opportunity to ensure that the proposed regulatory framework is practical, responsive, and reflective of the views of those who will be directly affected by its implementation. That includes the political parties and the candidates. And of course, the implementation of these regulations will also have impact to the larger Kenyan community and our democratic processes. Since our coming into office last year, ladies and gentlemen, the Commission has undertaken a series of engagements with the various stakeholders, and we've had these consultations, technical meetings, and reviews to refine our proposed regulations and spending limits. So this journey started already as soon as we came to office, and it's at this juncture that we hope that we will complete this journey through these final consultative forums so that we beat the deadlines that have been set. So we are required to actually gazette these regulations. Once we consolidate your views and put everything together in one package, we are supposed to approve these regulations at plenary so that we gazette them and we share them with Parliament, the Committee on Delegated Legislation, and we make preparations towards implementing them ahead of the general elections in 2027. So we are looking at a timeline of August this year. Ladies and gentlemen, the draft election campaign financing regulations 2026 seek to provide clarity on key aspects of campaign financing. These regulations will give us clarity on the appointment and registration of authorized persons, those people who are authorized to regulate the campaign financing. It will also give us clarity on the opening and management of campaign financing accounts. For us to monitor, we will require political parties and candidates to have specific accounts opened where we can monitor the amount of resources that they use during the campaigns. It will also provide us a framework for the recording and reporting of contributions and donations. You know, if, for example, in the US, during elections, there are individuals or organizations that contribute resources to the various political parties to use during their campaigns. So in the case of Kenya, in the course of regulating this, we will also require the candidates and political parties to record and report those contributions and donations they receive towards campaign financing. The regulations will also help us to regulate campaign expenditures. We will know whether the candidates or the political parties are within the range of the spending limits or they have exceeded the spending limits. That's why these regulations are very important to give us guidance on how we are going to regulate the expenditure around the campaigns by candidates and by their political parties. The regulations also will require disclosure and auditing of campaign finances. At the tail end of it all, we should be able to know how much, based on the reporting and the disclosures, how much have the political parties or candidates spent, and of course auditing of those finances in terms of the sources and the manner in which the finances were deployed. Lastly, the regulations will also provide us with mechanisms for compliance, enforcement, and dispute resolution. Ladies and gentlemen, similarly, the proposed contributions and spending limits. So we have the regulations, and together with the regulations, we have proposals also on contribution and spending limits. So you're looking at the regulations which are broader, but In these discussions, we also need to discuss the aspect of contributions and also the spending limits. So these contribution and spending limits are intended to promote fairness, transparency, accountability, and to create a level playing field in the electoral competition. So our objective is to ensure that we set the contributions and spending limits in order to create a level playing field for everybody who is contesting. These limits also seek to ensure that electoral outcomes are determined by the free will of the people rather than by the disproportionate influence of financial resources. You see, the Constitution tells us that elections must be by universal suffrage, the equality of the vote, transparent, free, fair, credible, accountable, all those principles of the Constitution. If we let money distort the will of the people, then we will be running against the Constitution and the principles enshrined in that Constitution for a free and fair election or electoral processes. So the role of finances in influencing elections and the free will of the people is the main objective as to why we are here, to look at how best we can regulate that aspect of our democracy. At the same time, the proposed limits recognize the legitimate need for political parties and candidates to effectively communicate their policies, programs, and manifestos to the electorate. And therefore, the objective is not to constrain political party participation, but to strike an appropriate balance between facilitating meaningful campaigns and safeguarding the integrity, fairness, and the credibility of the electoral process. So I think what we need to get very clearly is the need to strike that balance, to give the citizens of Kenya the opportunity as of free will to elect their leaders without the disproportionate influence of money or financing. At the same time, not to constrain the political parties and the candidates from having that opportunity and the logistics to ensure that they sell their policies and programs and manifestos to the electorate. So that's the thin balance. We don't want to constrain them, but at the same time, we don't want them to overwhelm the electorate with perhaps a lot of money to influence the electoral outcomes. So we need as Kenyans to balance, to strike that very delicate balance. I wish to assure you, ladies and gentlemen, and indeed the entire nation, that the Commission approaches this process with an open mind. So we are here, we are not prescriptive. We have not come here with a predetermined mind or set of things or regulations and spending contribution or spending limits. We are here with an open mind, knowing that we are a public commission, a public entity, supported by you, the taxpayers of Kenya, to do a particular job. And when such a sensitive and emotive issue comes on the table for us to make decisions on, we've brought it to you and we've brought you together here and across the country to give us your views on how to tackle this subject. So these draft instruments, both the regulations and the proposed contribution and spending limits, are still in draft form. And we hope with your support and with your input, we should be able to move towards finalizing them just in time for us to implement those regulations and spending limits. And therefore, it is in that regard that we are here this morning to listen. I think Commissioner Lutala said today, all ears, yes, mosquito too. So we are here to listen to you to give us feedback and for us to consolidate your feedback alongside other inputs from across the country as we finalize the regulations and the spending and the contribution and spending limits. So we are here in good faith, we are here with an open mind, and we are here very much expectant of the fact that you will, as Kenyans, give us your views and thoughts, ideas, whether controversial or not controversial. Who are we to determine whether they are controversial or not controversial? So we recognize that the electorate and the general public play a critical role in the democratic process, and therefore your experiences and observations during the electoral campaigns provide observations during campaigns provide valuable insights into the realities of campaign financing. I think Judge shared the experience of Kalau according to his classmate, and that there are those of the school of thought that the Kenyan voter is so enlightened that whatever you do, they will still vote their conscience. Then there are those of the view that the Kenyan voter may need some incentivizing for them to turn up and vote. So it's normally, it's a very, very delicate. So your views and recommendations will therefore be instrumental in helping the Commission develop a campaign financing framework that is constitutionally sound, practical, and responsive to the realities of Kenya's electoral environment. And we are not doing this for another country. We are doing for our country because we are unique. We understand our country, we understand our electoral environment, and we understand what is it that we must do as Kenyans to ensure that that environment is conducive for all of us to exercise our democratic rights under Article 38, which is to exercise our right to vote or to stand for elective positions. As I conclude, I therefore urge that we engage candidly, constructively, and respectfully during these deliberations. Let us focus on the substance of the proposals and work together to build a campaign financing regime that enhances public confidence in our elections and that strengthens Kenya's democracy. As we look towards 2027, which is fast closing in, we came to office last year. We are now in office for 1 year and 2 weeks. We thought we had a lot of time, but now we are left with almost 1 year to 2027. So as we race towards 2027 general election, we need to assure Kenyans that we assure Kenyans that we remain committed to ensuring that all the legal and regulatory reforms are undertaken in a timely, inclusive, and transparent manner. We believe that through collaboration with the public, political parties, and other stakeholders, we can establish a robust campaign financing system and frameworks that upholds the principles of constitutionalism, accountability, and electoral integrity. It is now, ladies and gentlemen, my distinct honor and privilege to officially declare this consultative forum on the draft election campaign financing regulations and the proposed contribution and spending limits officially open. I wish you fruitful deliberations, and I look forward to your valuable contributions. May God bless you, and may God bless our country, Kenya. So, hayo ndio hayo kwa campaign financing and campaign regulations. I will not add anything beyond that. So, allow me also to address an issue that has been vexing us since yesterday, and since members of the fourth estate are here, We value your contribution and your role in the democratic journey of the Republic of Kenya. Yesterday, we woke up to the headlines, to the news that Iebc has made proposals to stop live streaming of election results. And I can see the internet is abuzz with all that. I would like to assure the people of Kenya that there is nothing like that whatsoever. That Iebc, this commission, stands for transparency and accountability. And we will be the last people to make any decision or any proposals to stifle the freedom of media to check what we are doing, including live streaming of the election processes. So whoever manufactured that story, we need to know where they found those stories from. But as Iebc, we want to state here categorically that we have not made any such decision, neither have we made any proposals to Parliament to try and stop live streaming. If anything, the last time I checked, we converged here at Pullman Hotel with the Kenya Media Sector Working Group. That group brings together the Kenya Union of Journalists, the Kenya Editors Guild, and everybody in the media sector. And we signed an MOU in front of the media that, among other things, enables us to collaborate and partner with the media, for the media to scrutinize, for the media to work with us to ensure that we educate and inform Kenyans on all the processes that we are undertaking as a commission, including the live streaming of our election processes. And you have seen it even during the by-elections. The media has been there, and they have been a very important partner to us in informing and showing Kenyans every process we're doing. Whether at the polling station or at the tallying centers, the media has always been there, and it shall continue to be there as long as we work in this commission and we serve the interests of the public and the Kenyans. So we want to condemn those ones, those people who are propagating that misinformation and propaganda, and we want to tell those people that in as much as they have the freedom to publish anything, they should know that anything that undermines the integrity of our elections stands condemned by this commission. So I would like to end there. So I hope our members of the fourth estate present here will communicate to Kenyans in equal measure that there's nothing like that whatsoever. And our result transmission, when the time comes, we will communicate to Kenyans on how they will get their results. And they'll be there with us as partners. Thank you very much.